Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Parkside Cabin Rentals. How'd you like to breathe that clean mountain air? Get out of the city right now. Enjoy the relaxing sound of a babbling brook by your porch. You can take advantage of great cabins built for groups of all sizes just by visiting parksidecabinrentals.com. Find the floor plan and the location that fits you best. You can do that all right there at their website. In terms of a do-it-yourself vacation where you can get away and pick the size, pick the spot, pick the surroundings, you're not going to beat Parkside Cabin Rentals. Just the best place in the world up in Sevier County. Give them a call. And as always, when you rent one of their cabins, you're going to get free parking in downtown Gatlinburg. ParksideCabinRentals.com. All right. ESPN this week ranked all 130 FBS programs in terms of stability. They looked at coaching turnover, they looked at roster stability, how well a team has done recently, in recent years. Tennessee finished 127th ahead of only Kansas, Buffalo, and Old Dominion. That's it. And here's how they got that grade. We can go ahead and show you this. Only 2 teams had more than 23 guys lost to the transfer portal. Kansas had 27. Tennessee had 37. Some of those were walk-ons, and not every player was a projected difference maker by any means, but the Vols are the dictionary definition of unstable this season. There's still enough raw upside that Josh Heupel could create some first-year magic. I wouldn't predict that, but it's technically possible. But after constant drama on both the two-deep and coaching staff, it's probably best to just not make any predictions about the Vols either way. Okay, very good. That said, we're in the predicting business. We're in the prediction business, and most folks around here, I have seen, their predictions have been 6-6 or 7-5. There have been some 5-7s, but mainly 6-6, 7-5 from what I've seen out there. Chuck, we don't have the visor today, but in terms of the Chucky C-Note Casino, people making it 6-6, 7-5, and I think you're in that ballpark too. Is there a little local bias? Because it doesn't seem like the people outside of here have Tennessee at 6-6 and 7-5 as much as the people here. Is there a local bias, or you're just right?
Well, I think we're just right. I mean, looking at it, because I checked some of the Vegas sports books this morning, and you'll see 6.5 and you'll see 6. So, I mean, when there's money on the line, they're not going to have local bias.
But they also know that they're basing that based on what people are going to do with their money.
Right.
So that's not, we think they'll win 6.5. It's, we think we'll make the most money if we split this at 6.5.
So, I mean, and then also, obviously, you have to look at the schedule, the 4 non-conference games. If you beat Pitt, can you go 4-0 in non-conference games? Then what, if you got to win 2 SEC games? So there's obviously some swing games there. But if I saw it at 7, I would bet under. And if I saw it at 6, I would give it some thought what I was going to do, because I saw it, may not understand, it's like 130 for the under. You have to bet 130 to win 100. So I think that's about right at 6.5.
Jimmy?
I've got 6, and the reason is I think they win 3 non-conference games. Look, I know they lost to Georgia State, okay? Well, Alabama lost to Louisiana Monroe when Saban was there his first year. So I understand upsets happen, but I think Tennessee wins 3 non-conference games. I think Vanderbilt and South Carolina are horrible. So I think Tennessee will win those. So you got to find one more. And I think Pitt's a swing game. I think Missouri's a swing game, and Kentucky. I think they can win one of those 3, and that's how I have them at 6. I don't have them at 7, but I think they can get to 6, and that's how.
Thoughts on all this, the discussion? I mean, is it too positive?
I mean, the only reason
bias,
I give Tennessee a shot at 6 is because the bad teams that they play. Do I think it's local bias? I think there's a fuzz of local bias, but Jimmy just explained. They got bad teams on their schedule. They're not a good team. They play other bad teams. The 3 non-conference wins, I think, are a given. Pitt's not. And then you're down to, I don't think South Carolina is going to be the gimme game for Tennessee. I think you've got one SEC gimme, and that's going to be Vandy. And who knows? You've lost a ton of guys. And as talked about by Chuck and you both earlier, well, the injury thing comes into play.
By the end of the year, what do you got on your roster?
Vandy's scholarship players are probably better than your walk-on players, I'm assuming. So if getting towards that part of the schedule, if you're beat up, so I kind of see 6 as the upper limit that you're going to get to. I just really don't see 7. You know, unless Heupel's offense is just running so well that you're going to win some 45, 43 games.
Or higher.
I'm just counting on the injuries. I think, I think this team's going to be 5-7, and I find it hard to believe you're going to smoke through the SEC schedule without getting hammered by injuries, which you always are. And when you start down 37 players, and that doesn't count guys like Pope and Locklear who stepped away this week, I mean, that's a lot of just bodies. It's not necessarily, I'm not saying, he wrote in there, well, these aren't world breakers, difference makers. Well, no, not all of them are. Eric Gray you could use, Wanya Morris you could probably use. But some of these guys, just bodies. You need bodies on a football team. And I wonder what you're going to get to. This is the way I would look at it. In terms of the 6-6, 7-5 everyone's leaning to, what's more likely? 8-4 or 4-8? If you had to pick one, 8-4 or 4-8?
4-8.
4-8.
Do you agree?
4-8.
Okay, so how then do we say that it's more like 6-6 and 7-5 is our prediction, but it's more likely they'll lose many more games than that than it is they'll win one more game.
Yeah,
So if we're saying,
but I'm not saying that.
Right.
Yeah, I understand. I'm 6-6, leaning 5-7.
Yeah.
But if you ask me my prediction is 6-6.
right,
But we'll see.
6-6 and down, not 6-6 and up.
Yeah,
Right.
on a confidence scale of 1 to 10, how much confidence do you have in that 6-6?
Yeah, there's so many people that think, they're going to be fine, and all these other teams suck, and we'll blow them. Well, here's the thing: Tennessee has lost 7 or more games 3 of their last 4 seasons. 7, 7, 8, and had 1 year where they lost 5. That tells me that the high end of the 6-6, 7-5, if you want to split 6-6 and go low end or high end, I think the high end is a little locally biased. But I will also say this: back when I was doing Mr. SEC, you would read all of the different coverage. Everybody had their local bias, and I don't think it was just because they're trying to pump up the local team. I think it's because you cover this team, so you think you know this team more. Well, they'll be able to pull this one out. I think you give benefit of the doubt when you cover a team more than you do some other team that you don't
Agreed.
cover. I just think that's a natural
And
deal. Pro, college, whatever sport. I think I may be wrong, but I think most of us. in
And
this
I know
sport
it's
do
a
that.
long time ago, but let's don't forget how Tennessee started in the SEC last season and how they finished. Didn't they start 2-0 in the
South
SEC?
Carolina, Missouri.
And didn't they finish 3-7?
Yeah,
Not only were they 2-0, they were ahead of Georgia at halftime.
that's when you called.
And that's when I called and said, hey.
Remember I said that's my turning point to the whole season. Halftime at Georgia.
Yeah, I remember you saying that very clearly before the year. You and Clay Travis, who was like, built a machine here. They made fun of us for hiring Pruitt. Now what do they think?
Then he was wanting to cut a check a few weeks later.
Yeah, it was after that game. It's like, we got to fire this guy. All right. 2 Vols go in the first round of the NBA draft this week, but one took a tumble. So was it a good night or a bad night? Come on back. We'll discuss.